Happy Wednesday. Welcome to 2ndLap. I'm Gramps, your host. Update for those tracking mileage, 37,337, 37,337, 10 and a half years now, into the 11th year. I am in Fletcher, North Carolina. This is where one of our kids and her husband and two children live. Their third child lived here as well. I've referred to Hank Zager in the past. I've never really fully, talked about it. Annie, because she was Annie when we met, and I got together and went out on our first date in 2016. And in 2016, we switched from Annie and Robbie to Emmy and Gramps. Sorry, there's water on my trail, so I'm going to turn around. We became Emmy and Gramps. We had our first two grandsons. They were born in 2016. We then had another two set of grandsons that were born in 2018, the year we got married. One was born on my birthday, so I share a birthday with one of my grandsons. And then we had Hank welcomed in August of 2018. I bring Hank up because Hank is one that's really helped sort of solidify and shape who I am. We lost Hank to a tragic accident at 1 year, just over a year, 386 days. We had been with him 2 days prior to him passing. They were in Dallas. We had done horse rides. And really, if we go back and we look, we had gotten to spend quite a bit of time with Hank and his brother, Louie, just beyond extra time. Like when we went on our vacation to St. Bart's, when we came back, we got stuck in Charlotte. So we were able to drive up and see them and spend more time with them. It just seems like we had a lot of extra time. We got to go to Colorado for the 4th, share a lot of extra time. But then in September of 2019, we lost Hank, grandson number 4 or grandchild number 4. And I don't think it was a moment where the curtain was exposed, but it was the time when, like, all this I had to figure it out. I had to understand. I had to really sort of kind of go through my own transition. And I had been in a transition already. I had started walking the circumference of the earth prior. I had been traveling. I'd gone to India, and life had delivered us 4 beautiful grandchildren, and it was something that there's no way this could ever happen, and it did. And it, as I said, it is sort of really solidified and shaped me. I talk all that because I'm here in North Carolina, and I talk that when I'm here, I walk with Hank. So I'm walking around a park that's near where they live, and I've spent hours and hours, and a lot of times I'll take photos, and there'll be a little light or some sort of symbol that's on the photo that sort of lets me know. So not everybody believes, but that's sort of Gramps' perspective. We've gone on to have our 11th grandchild due in August, so continued to obviously have grandchildren, and we've tried to take the perspective in our loss and use it to be better humans and to try and look at, I guess, all the shit that you will see and be able to verify or ferret out what the real stuff is and what's important and what you should care about and the things that you should, and I am using the word should, and I know it's a judgment word, but you should be able to sort of let go as, hey, this is something that's less important. So that was the sort of monologue I had set up. I just wanted to sort of honor Hank as well as, share. Sometimes I'll get emotional and some folks probably don't understand. And so I'm exposing all that. That being said, Ronnie was going to join when I got to this point. There he is. And there is no glow on you. The hand of God has been removed. So welcome.
Yes, no, thank you. And as I was hoping my delivery was on time, so I didn't have to to run off in the middle of you talking.
So he did show up.
Yes, he did. So we're all
right. Good. And your microphone worked.
Yes, yes.
Hallelujah. Like this was a live where everything kind of came together. So I appreciate that. And we wanted to sort of catch up on a couple of different things. I think specifically as we were chatting, you had made, and I'm going to try and either turn around because this guy is right behind me yeah, he's kind of freaking out a little bit. It's like, man, is that kind of coming from my wallet? And I'm out of the wind, so I'm actually warm. We were talking about this earlier. There's like a 16-degree change from what the temperature is and what the wind makes you feel like it is. So I'll go this way and it'll get me back into the sun. You were going to talk a little bit about being an entrepreneur and some of the things that sort of been challenging you as of late.
Yeah, no, to me, it's like we've mentioned before, it's always has its ups and downs. There's always challenges, new challenges, especially if you're a new entrepreneur and the things you kind of have to navigate through. It's always tricky, but I think I enjoy challenges. As one of the mantras that me and my son say every day before he goes into school, we're problem finders and problem solvers. And so I think that's the key thing to always at least put myself in the best mindset of realizing, hey, I don't have to drive to some office. I don't have to have one nagging boss. Granted, I think a lot of entrepreneurs would be like, all of your customers are nagging bosses, but right. That's at least something that is a good thing to kind of control your time, control the different aspects of your life. And yeah, it's always tricky. And I think, at least for me, having my accountability, like we've talked about trying to film and do different things. Phones happen, phone memory storage like runs out, and there's all kinds of different things that happen. At least in my head, I know I'm being accountable to myself of going for my walks daily, even if I'm not posting a video. It's not something where in my head, it's like, I have to do this or it doesn't count. Like my body knows it counts. And I think that's a big part of it. And just taking that day by day, as well as, I think I forget what the specific post I sent you about, like that stress is the #1 killer. It's not a matter of this or that, or not doing this, or not going for a walk, not working out. I think it's the biggest thing is I ate a few extra chicken wings and an extra piece of pizza during the Super Bowl, and my weight has not gone up to what it was, but it's like and granted, I'm micromanaging my weight every day and seeing like, oh, there's a half pound more, there's this. But it's also just like the post I sent, it's not letting those little things stress me out every single day. I can't let A, B, C, D. It's like, as long as I'm aware of it and keep it in mind, I'm doing my walks. Granted, I'm eating a little more protein these days just because I'm trying to make sure of everything that we've watched and seen and the people that we talk to, making sure that that's a big part of the food intake I'm having and eliminating the carbs. So I think that could also be a part of it. But obviously, I've had a few slack days. I think I don't want to say stress, but it is the different things that come with work that distract you. And as well as it's sick season, we've seen my buddy Zach dealing with the flu, and so I'm not as perky in the morning as I was to kind of get at it and do everything. So I'm a little bit behind on my treadmill miles. So, but it's in my head, it's like the only person that cares is me at the end of the day, and that's the only person that matters, is making sure that I'm keeping up with and taking care of my body and not over pushing it. And I think that's a big part of longevity that we're looking for, is not like getting down on myself about different things. So, but yeah, it's every day is a journey, as you just kind of mentioned in your monologue and different things of how it shapes you and different things of how you're going to take these different pressure points that kind of come along in life. And if it's something that you're going to dig a hole and go deeper and not empower yourself. And I think we all kind of deal with different losses or negative things in our lives. And how do you take it? How do you make yourself better? And I think that's at least something that of the different things that I've dealt with and that I see you doing is taking something terrible and bad that's happened and turning it into something of light, of good, and to be able to share. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that sharing those experiences and different things that happen, whether it's a crazy client, behind on a workflow, a
Right.
personal loss, weight gain, whatever it might be, we're all dealing with that. And it's like, how do we kind of take the experience from others and turn it into a positive into our own life, so that hopefully we can keep the people around us happy and motivated to not kind of fall into depression or different things that can happen. So, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
hear you. I was gonna say the biggest thing that I heard you say there, and that I think I've seen the people that I've been talking about this with, is choice. Like, we all have the choice and we get to choose. And that's the one with two O's, I think, because chose is the other. Yeah, choose. We get to choose how we respond. Yeah, sorry, you get to see. I'm a math guy. We talked about it last week with OG, but I have a lot of tricks from the English language that I've learned how to, sort of make sure we get to choose how we react. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bad stuff and good stuff that happen to everybody. Like, getting overly excited can be as harmful to your body as getting really sad and depressed. Like, homeostasis, or being as close to the line, Zen. I'm trying to think of all the Buddha and different people out there that talk about how, to try and be as calm and as, even as you can. And it's not real. The world isn't calm. So you have to be able to try and sort of tool your way back. And as I said, what you said was, you get the choice, you get to choose how you react. And you could start everything off with, I hate it in the world, and the weather is terrible, and it just sets you up for nothing positive. So, as we've talked about, I get out, I put my feet on the ground, out of the bed, and I'm grateful to be awake and alive, and I'm excited to go turn on the coffee. We do a pour over, so I was going to say the machine, but I don't have a coffee machine. Um, and I want to start my day.
yeah,
And what I think, if I piece together what you and I both said in the two statements that we made, and I add it to a conversation I was having with a friend in Texas this morning. I have a bunch of good morning texts that I do with people, just to make sure that they are aware that I'm here. And he was talking about a sermon that he went to, and about shepherding and being able to, sort of be the in a positive way. I'm calling myself a wise elder. Like, and I don't know if that's a compliment or if I'm just getting old, but I think being able to take what we know and our experiences and share it with those. I don't think that we're supposed to take their lessons away. And I think it's okay for us to, take what would be to the chest, and maybe give them a kick to the shin. You know what I mean?
yeah. And like you mentioned, there's so much that goes on in the world, and we can only, at least of the conversations and stuff that I've had with people about whether it's different issues or different things, and trying to get me to voice on certain things. It's like, to me, I can't control every bad thing that happens in the world. I can only control what happens in front of me. And
Right.
again, one of the things I always tell my son is, as crazy or whatever it might be that we're seeing on a screen, like, none of that's real. Like, one, it's video edited. I'm a marketer, so I'm well aware that there's different things. The only
Right.
thing, and even nowadays, it might not always be true, it's what you're seeing with your eyes in the real world is really the only thing that I have control of, that I think is real. And so I could be all up in arms about so many different issues and different things that come about, which are, again, going to stress you out and make you ridiculously tired and overwhelmed with so many different things that are happening in the world. But what you can control is only your behavior, your interactions with other people, the energy that you put out. And to me, that's what's most important. And everything else is just kind of fodder. And so for me, it's making sure that I'm grounded, like you've talked about, like touch some grass, get outside, hug a human versus like, yes, I understand you're texting and making sure that you're checking in is important to a lot of people. But I think like you kind of ring the bell with, it's what's in front of you, what like it's the physical things that are around us and making sure that those people are taken care of. And that's to me something that's it's hard for a lot of people to kind of get their head around that and realize like, hey, you can try, but you're not going to be able to save everybody. And a lot of times the other thing too, that you and I have talked about privately, it's being the example. It's like, I can't sit here and we can preach and tell people go do the different things. But like you said at the beginning of this, it's their choice as far as what you're going to decide to take what's good and what's bad. And I've mentioned before, I'm super lucky to run the 2ndLap page and to be able to find all of these different nutrition ideas, exercise things, or just the people who are out there trying to make themselves better, whether it's they're overweight, they're older, trying to deal with different ailments and different things that kind of come up. And it's the fact of you got to go head on. I saw something, everything is uphill. Like no matter everything good is uphill. It doesn't matter what you think. If you're going to try to take the easy solution, it's not going to be as fulfilling as it should be if you're actually going to do the work and go up that hill and push that troublesome ball and just get it to the top. So that's, I think, what we would hope to kind of let people know that there is an out, but it's obviously going to take some work. Like all these fitness journeys and stuff that we've seen, it wasn't something where they snapped their fingers, ate some cucumbers, and all of a sudden we're better. It's like, no, you got to do the work and be at the gym and do the different things. And I think that's at least
Aren't the cucumbers for the eyes? Are the cucumbers for the eyes? No.
I think it's skin, hydration. There's lots of different things with the cucumber. To me, it's one of the best ones to have because it's almost flavorless. So if you don't like cucumbers, like what's going on?
I'm not a big fan of cucumbers, but the reason is much more sinister. I'm anti-pickle and I know where they came from. You know, that's the whole problem. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, if I don't like this one thing and its origin story is over here, I know it's terrible logic.
Line, Rob. I'm pro pickle. I'm pro sauerkraut. I am for your gut health, and all of those fermented items I think are beneficial.
I'm drinking kefir in my nightly blended drink with my protein and my fiber. So I do believe in it. I do eat cucumbers in sushi. So I would say I do, I just don't enjoy them on a plate with pepper like my grandfather did. I don't like cottage cheese with pepper on it like my grandfather did, but I do have it in my burritos blended up. Yeah, I was gonna say, my grandson's that way. He he's like, bring it to me, and he's got a spoon, and he's like my grandfather reincarnated. And I'm like, holy crap, I didn't know anybody actually ate that stuff.
I love, my mom got me onto the cottage cheese and peppers, so it's not as bad as my sister-in-law who did ketchup on peach Jello, which to me is one of those that I don't think she
like aluminum foil on your teeth.
Yeah. I did have a question for you, since it's something that it kind of relates to what you were talking about earlier, or at least I think it might. That, or I know I'm not the only one with this question, because whether when we're texting and you like something, or especially with the lead with love, the Purple Heart, how does that what is the origin story of that? To me, I wasn't sure if that was something involved with Hank, if it was a favorite color of his, but I've definitely been very curious to know. And I've seen you do it too, where you've accidentally hit the red one, you've taken it off and you've replaced it with the purple. So what is the origin story on that?
It is 100,000% intentional. We as a society, if you spend any time on social media, we have two teams. We have a red team, we have a blue team.
Mm-hmm.
And the world isn't red and blue. The world is purple. The red is red and blue people. I'm married to a blue person. I could be considered a red person. You look at all that, and I really think we're all human. And so I blend the colors together to just say unity. That I'm here to support everybody, regardless of your political orientation. Regardless of who you voted for. At Christmas. If I'm on the ark and I'm reaching out to bring you onto the boat, I'm not going to ask any of those things. I'm just going to be interested in making sure another human is there and safe. So I've talked, and my taglines have been human connection, lead with love, hug a human, and it's just all about around. Hey, I don't know if unity is the right word, but the unification that we're all part of the same squad. We're on this rock spinning around 365.25 days per year. And I think everybody's important. So yes, it's because it's so quick. If I go to try and highlight something and I'm not paying attention, it will turn red. And then I'm always curious if anybody's seen that and then had the blessing to see that I've changed it back to purple. So I'm guessing you have.
Yes, I've noticed. That's why to me it makes total sense as far as one, your personality and kind of everything that we've talked about, and that is better than I was expecting. So I think you might have even told me that too at one point, and I just forgot. But to me, I felt it was relevant to at least have that kind of a question posed.
Yeah, no, I'm appreciative of you asking. I try to talk to people about it. I try to be proactive, and at the same time, I do like when people ask that question because it gives me the opportunity. And I don't want to say jump up on the box, but it does give me opportunity to socialize a mini sermon. I just there's so many different definitions and people react to different words. So I'm not sure how to say it, but it gives you a chance to interact and share. Hey, regardless of what you think, I still like you.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I might even love you. That's it's that rewarding. It's as I said, we're on this ball, we're circling around, and I think a lot of people seek purpose. They seek that through employment or other reasons in other ways, and I think my purpose is to make sure that people know that leading with love is much better than the alternative, which is fear.
No, absolutely. To me, that's always, since I was pre-18, I think for me, just the two-party system has always been something I've can't stand. And I know social media has made it even worse. And granted, here I am a marketer, so I totally understand the way that it's, I forget whatever movie that was. It's not The Social Network, because that's the one about Zuckerberg, but there was the other one that kind of explained the marketing process and everything that goes into kind of separating us. And I forgot who it was recently. I think I reposted it. Was people realize that sex sells until they realize that rage sells even more. And I think that's what we're trying to combat, is fighting the rage baiting that goes on. And it's like you've mentioned, lead with love, because that's essentially, we all have different beliefs. It's always been something. I saw Jesse Ventura said that we need to take off all of the political parties on the ballot. So then you actually have to do the research, because that was something I always was a proponent of like, hey, let's take whatever the 15 issues that you feel are most important, and how do those different people line up, and then that's what you look for, versus just doing straight party lines. So whether that turns people off of me, I really don't care. To me, it's like, be educated about different things. We all have different viewpoints on different topics, and it's like, that's why there's however many religions and different, nobody can come away with exactly what we want, because we're all human. We all have a different experience of life and how we've taken different things in, and to me, that's the base of all of this, is that we're all different, but we are all the same.
We are all more similar than we are different. I do think I celebrate, we can celebrate the differences. It's beautiful that people have those differences. It's awesome to get into conversations and it's one of the most rewarding things for me, especially doing what we do here. And this is that I get into a conversation and I learn something new. I had no idea about somebody, and it's like, man, you're very, very interesting to me. I think I lost my train of thought.
We
Be
all need
curious.
Yeah, I was like, we
Yeah,
all need to be sponges. I think that
yeah,
to me was one thing I realized. I was coaching track with a genius physics teacher who was the cross country coach, cross country ski coach. And just
right.
to me, it was being around someone like him or just people that are different that have these experiences or expertise in certain fields and just kind of understanding and listening. I think that's the other thing too that I appreciate with being a part of this is that you want to listen to what other people have to say. And I think that's kind of the anti whatever. It's like, you're going to listen to me and what I have to say. And that's kind of not the problem, I think, but I think there not enough people are willing to listen because they have to have my voice matters. And it's like, well, your ears matter too, as far as listening to what other people have to say so that you can understand where they're coming from. Because otherwise you're just so selfishly focused on what you think you need to get out to everybody.
I've learned a couple of things or some tricks. One of the biggest tricks is try to go into every conversation like you have no idea what you're talking about. Be curious. As you said, listen to understand, as opposed to what 99% of my experience, which is somebody's listening to respond. They want to make sure that whatever you're saying, that they can respond with what they want to say about that specific topic, as opposed to, holy shit, I didn't know that there were 30 centimeters in a foot. Like that's interesting to me. I don't know why I brought that up, but it is an interesting
I
measurement.
didn't know that. So thank
Did
you.
you know that?
I didn't.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So it's just, as I said, the cliche is you have two ears, one mouth, listen, as opposed to trying to talk over people. I'm trying to think of all the sales tools I've learned in my life. As you said, and I'm grateful that you see it, I really want to understand, why do you feel that way? Like, did somebody do something? Did you have an experience? Is there something I don't know? Like, I really do mean this when I say this. I don't know everything. And I haven't met a single human out of the 8 billion that does know everything. You know what I mean? There's no, maybe AI will change this because we'll have to refer to an AI bot as them, there, or she, her, or them. We know what I mean? Some point, and they will know everything. But at this point in time, every carbon-based adult that I've met doesn't know everything. And so it's just interesting to me to hear just their perspectives here, why. I have a son-in-law that doesn't like mayonnaise. Like, you're not a mayonnaise person either?
No, I could do without.
I guess I watched way too many Miracle Whip commercials as a kid, and hey, the only way that you make the sandwich meat happy is to have the mayo. But yeah, there are people out there, including Ronnie, anybody that's paying attention,
I instantly
don't need it.
I think of the Undercover Brother movie. I don't know if you've seen it, of just black people don't like mayonnaise, and as soon as he starts dating a white woman, he starts liking mayonnaise. That's where my head immediately went, was with
That's
that.
so funny. Yeah, it's a good movie. I want to understand why it is they don't like mayonnaise. As an example, my son-in-law, I don't think he had a good experience as a child, and it never changed to the point where he almost would violently throw the packet away from him if we accidentally left it on, the tray as we handed him his sandwich, violently get rid of it. So way down the rabbit hole on the mayonnaise, I'll back up. I just want to know why people feel and think and experience it. And it's not just, hey, are they feeling this way because they're right? Because that's what I experience from a lot of people, is they they just want to be right. Like they want to tell you, hey, this is the right way to do it, or this is the correct answer, or you're not as smart as I am, or whatever it is that drives them to need to do that. And I don't, I don't need to be right. I just want to have a conversation and learn and be a better person for it.
No, I think part of that too, as you're saying that, I'm thinking, well, I could go on about the reasons I don't drink milk, and like I was force fed cereal milk on Nutri-Grain, which wasn't exactly that tasty
Yeah.
when they
Yep.
had the brand cereal. But I think part of it too is not only just being right. I think a lot of times people have like a visceral reaction to something, like you said, an experience. That's what kind of brought me this, like yesterday, of dealing with business insurance, almost gave me like PTSD. Like previous relationship, we had to sue like $1 billion insurance company, and I
Right.
was like, kind of tensed up and just bitter yesterday of dealing with kind of the reaction that I was getting from this insurance guy. And it's like, and I had to sit back, and as soon as I mentioned it to somebody else, like I was like, oh yeah, like that's why I reacted this way, is because I have this built in my past. As much as I've tried to block it out,
Yep.
that it's like that, like why did I have that reaction? And so it kind of goes similar to what you're saying of like, why does somebody all of a sudden become so intense about something? And it's like they might not even realize it too, of why they're reacting that way to you. But I think if somebody asks a question, or if you listen, you can kind of, whether it's for yourself or understanding somebody else, like having that connection point and realizing like, oh, that's why this is happening. And whether it's, you can use it positively for yourself, or at least for me yesterday, like call myself down and be like, okay, like I don't want to be reactive to when I go get my son, because he doesn't know why I'm upset in this
Yep.
way. And it's regulating ourselves and having that understanding of like, why are you triggered in certain ways? And I think we've talked about with different people of whether it's food cravings or sleep or just different things that all of a sudden you don't even realize are causing you to be whatever emotion or personality in that moment. But it's like taking a step back, looking at yourself at a third person. It's like, why are you doing this? I think is something that so many people just don't do. Not saying
Right.
I'm not on my high horse, but it's like we need to self-regulate, kind of look at ourselves in the mirror, go into the bathroom, look yourself dead on and be like, why are you doing this? And whether it's overeating, like just reacting, commenting on posts that you don't need to be, and then just there's so many different things of like, why did this trigger you? Why are you being so reactive?
Yesterday I had the opposite happen. So we were driving, we're in the car, we stopped to get gas. We were 250 miles from our destination. Got back on the freeway after getting a tank of gas. Bing. What was that? And even Annie said, what was that? We're listening to an audiobook. And I looked down, my TPS, tire pressure sensor, 3 of them say 36 and one of them says 29. About 45 seconds later, it says 28. 45 seconds later, it says 27. I'm like, because I'm doing calculations in my head. And I'm like, okay, is it slow enough that I can just stop every 200 miles and put air in it? Because I only got 250 left. So a couple stops and I'll be able to get there. And then by the time that I changed the tire and we started to drive away, it was at 18. So the answer is no. And where I was going with this and why I brought it up and the relevancy is when we got back in the car, my wife was really quiet. And she's looking at me and waiting for, this roar of anger to come out. Why did this happen to us? And instead I was just really calm. And she looked at me, she goes, well, that was pretty quick. And I said, well, I did work at Discount Tire for the first 2 years of my life. So I know how to change the tire. There was nothing that was going to come from me freaking out. There was nothing that was going to gain from us, losing my shit and going off. And it was like, hey, the quicker and more together they am, the sooner we arrive at our destination. And it ended up, I think it slowed us down like 17 minutes. For the day, or 18 minutes is the time I lost, and I'm not an F1 or a NASCAR guy, but I felt pretty damn good. I didn't put the jack in the right place to start just because the big tires, I ended up having to move it under the axle, but 17 minutes, swat them. The only thing that I kind of felt like it Dorcas is that when I started the car back up, it told me that the right rear tire was at 18. And I'm like, man, those TPS things are so fast. I can't believe it. And the tire's been on there for the years. So I went in and I got $2 in quarters in cash and I put it in and I put the plug on and there was 36 pounds in it. And I'm like, I just wasted $1.50 on things. And that was the most that I reacted. Like that's what she got to see me as I got in the car and I'm like, well, I just wasted $1.50. Back to, I had a choice. I watched her. She had obviously experienced other times in her life where the person that was changing the tire lost their shit and she was surprised. And I was, I don't know, I was proud of myself. Like it was like, hey, I could have made a choice, you know, because I could have kicked the car, I could have, you know, done all those things. And instead, she held the lug nuts as I took the tires off, and I had to jack the car a little bit higher up in order to get the new tire on. And I'm always worried when I'm doing that, like literally that little bit of friction is going to cause the car to fall over, and I'm going to have to drop, you know, get it off the axle. And none of that stuff is real. Like, so I'm having an attack of panic attack of something that's never going to be real. Lastly, I'm going to go back to what you said earlier. Stress is the most destructive thing to the human body. I've had health issues. I've had other things that I've chased in my life. So I've taken blood pressure regularly. I've written everything I've eaten down. I've taken, you know, medical logs. And then I've also logged stress. Like when something happened, putting it down. And the thing that affected how I felt and the way my body behaved the most out of anything that could happen to it was stress. So being able to understand that, being able to employ Lamaze breathing if necessary, you know, whatever you have to do in order to, I don't know if it's like gripping the edge of the seat sort of the analogy, but being able to just realize what's happening, realize why it's happening and how it's happening, and that if doesn't always work. You know, it doesn't, you can't just make everything go away, but most of the time, if you breathe through that and you sort of acknowledge the issue that you're stressed out about and then, you know, sort of move on from it. It's kind of like when you see in those movies where they write their problems down on a piece of paper and they light them on fire and it goes away. Same kind of thing.
No, I think there's healthy ways to deal with stress. I think at least for me, typically a guttural yell sometimes work when I'm outside, as much as that's sometimes not. And as soon as I get that out, that's helpful. Or I think I mentioned once before when I was working a server and you get a really bad table, we'd have these little like wine glasses at Macaroni Grill, and there was a brick wall next to our dumpster. I just seeing something smash and eviscerate in front of you was like a calming experience. Otherwise, we'd stab some lemons and watch those kind of go off. Right. I think as long as you're doing it in a healthy manner that's not really affecting somebody else or negatively impacting you, then finding that outlet to make you feel better, breathe through it, calm, go for a run, hit a punching bag. I think there's different ways to kind of let that stuff out. But, and my last thing I'll mention is no different than your tire issue. When I think the reason I knew I was going to be with my wife is at my very old house, we had to like call in like every visitor parking. And one time I didn't do it, or it was the very first time I didn't realize that I was supposed to be doing it. And she always worked very early. And it was like she had to be at work at 5:30. She came back in and was like, her car wasn't there. So the car had gotten towed and she had to get to work. I was like, all right, let me drive you to work and we'll get the car afterwards. But the fact that she was able to stay calm, like didn't freak out on me. It wasn't, and I'm not trying to offend women in general, but it wasn't what I had experienced in the past from my other relationships of a freak out. And then all of a sudden it was, I was getting yelled at or anything, but her calmness and just one of those of like, this is what it is. This is what we have to do. Let's move forward and figure it out. That in itself is something that it attracts people to kind of that energy. And so being able to kind of have that, and that to me was maybe the very last check mark. All right, I'm going to be with this woman for a long, long time, just because if you're not going to just completely lose it over this in the early morning, that all right, this might be who I want for the mom of my kids, and to have that calmness around in the future. So I definitely, that's something that is a good thing. And that's cool to hear that you at least were able to stay calm and in that situation. Cause yeah, I think many people would be, I would probably give a little steering wheel shake and be like, all right, let's go. Especially if that 18 showed up again and you were like, wow, what the heck? So it's staying calm.
Well, we were driving across the country, so there's 6 suitcases and bags and all the trinkets and toys of my grandchildren are in this parking lot of a gas station that we're changing it, and it was it could have been extremely stressful, and it was like, hey, I've read all the books, I've listened to it. What you said earlier was very important. Don't just talk the talk, walk the talk. Like, do what is necessary to be successful and to minimize the dumb shit in your life. And I was just grateful. Like I said, it was the most exciting part about it for me was her behavior, like her being, hey, it's okay. Like, we're okay. You did good. You got all that stuff. And anyways, we got here. We were still early. All the phone calls I had to make, I was still in time for, and life continued.
Yes, indeed.
On that note, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday.
Thank you. You as well. And it looks beautiful there. It's nice here. It doesn't look as nice as there. So at least it feels like winter is slowly ending here in the Midwest. So that's at least a positive thing.
It was overcast, as I said, when I got here, and I looked up and I said hello to the sun. And now the sun is all by itself. There's not a cloud around. I'm unzipped and unopened because it's not 39 degrees anymore in my body. And it's, as you said, it's beautiful. And I'm grateful for the conversation. So enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
All right, take care.